one thing that you said is that it's been so rich the last 3 decades of you being in business. And I'm curious, what do you feel has contributed to that
Mm.
richness that you feel?
Oh, so many things. All the places where I've stumbled,
Ooh.
had to pick myself up because nobody else is going to do that, right?
Yeah.
And, each time we stumble and pick ourselves back up, we realize that we're far stronger,
Mm.
far more capable than we thought, and truly than we've been led to believe, right? And this is so important because, you know, the human spirit is designed to triumph, right?
Mm.
And we all face adversity, but within every challenge, there's a gift. So when you have moments where you feel like, oh God, I feel like I failed. Why did I do that? Well, the deeper that you become curious about what you see or term as a failure, then you start to see, oh, there's some kind of nugget here of wisdom,
Mm.
strength, and empowerment. And that's really the idea of modern alchemy, right? In the way.
Unleash the untapped potential within you as we dive fearlessly into the realms of healing, personal growth, self-love, and uncharted territories of the human experience. Join us as we navigate relationships, conquer career and business milestones, and explore the depths of spirituality. This isn't just a podcast, it's a manifesto for the resilient, the ambitious, the soul-searching women and men of today. Grab your coffee and let's dive in with Beyond the Surface.
All right, welcome back to another episode here on Beyond the Surface. And I am so deeply excited and also honored to have you, Adora, here on this episode to join me in conversation and to dive into what feels like a topic that just feels so, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like just prime in my own life. And so I just feel like it was just so aligned to come together to have you here. And I'm just so honored for your time and to dive into conversation with you today. So thanks for being here.
Oh, it's such my pleasure, Ashley Ann, and really a delight to come and share this inspiration, this wisdom, this frequency with you and your community.
Thank you. And so I always start off, I want to give you the space to fully introduce all of who you are. And I know that's a loaded question at the same time, too, but whatever you feel called to share, I'd love for you to just begin there and we can start there.
Great. Well, let's see. I would say that first and foremost, I'm a mom of two girls that are getting bigger and stronger and more brilliant day by day. And that this is my work is really my passion. It is I'm certain my sacred purpose that I feel very fortunate, very blessed to be able to live each and every day. And it's been a journey to get to this point. It's been 3 decades of a journey. And so it's been a long road, and yet um, it's been so rich, right? From
Mm.
my own healing, right? And so many of us that come to um, our path, our purpose, come through some type of adversity or challenge that brought the essence of who we are forward. And,
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's very much the case for me. And I feel as though, even though there was a great deal of adversity in my life, and especially in the earlier years, that, it's all prepared me
Mm.
for what I'm doing now and the way that I can be of service to the greater good for the rest of the time that I have here on the planet and in building this legacy of the Soul Institute. So I feel that each and every day is filled with miracles and joy, not perfection, right? There's
Mm.
still challenges, there's still adversity. But I feel as though my work now has really the distillation, right, of these past 3 decades of going and finding all of these healing traditions, right?
Mm.
Fragments of wisdom, of knowledge, of practice, of course, and to be able to distill them through my own life, right? Because I do see us as these incredible distillation vessels, if you will, through our hearts, right? Distilling
Yeah.
everything that we are receiving from divine consciousness, Mother Earth, through all of the experiences that we have and have had, and many that our ancestors have had. And
Yeah.
so the opportunity is to live each day to our potential, right? To the peak of that. And to carpe diem, which is one of my favorite sayings. But not just seizing the day, seizing the moment, because it is within the alchemy of this moment that a doorway opens and everything is possible, right?
Mm.
Transformation, healing, parts of the past, parts of ourselves, patterns of the past, to be able to sculpt a new future right here and right now
Mm.
that is more aligned with our soul and our heart. And, I feel like it's a great honor to help other individuals find that which lights them up, right? In their mind, right? Inspiration in their heart, in their soul, but in a way that they can feel it in their body, right? Because our
Mm.
bodies are our divine instruments, right? They are our
Yeah.
temples to be able to move our purpose through us and out into the world. So to support other individuals to find their purpose and then to give them the tools to be able to live and thrive in that purpose every day feels like the greatest gift and opportunity to me.
Mm. Oh, that is so incredibly beautiful. And, I feel like it's no secret. I think what I'm witnessing right now in this moment is like, there's obviously no secret in terms of our age, like the difference there. But I don't say that. I say that in such a beautiful way where I am witnessing you and I'm just so deeply inspired to just be in this moment and to see and to witness the way that you talk about your journey. And one thing that you said is that it's been so rich the last 3 decades of you being in business. And I'm curious, what do you feel has contributed to that
Mm.
richness that you feel?
Oh, so many things. All the places where I've stumbled,
Ooh.
had to pick myself up because nobody else is going to do that, right?
Yeah.
And, each time we stumble and pick ourselves back up, we realize that we're far stronger,
Mm.
far more capable than we thought, and truly than we've been led to believe, right? And this is so important because you know, the human spirit is designed to triumph, right?
Mm.
And we all face adversity, but within every challenge, there's a gift. So when you have moments where you feel like, oh God, I feel like I failed. Why did I do that? Well, the deeper that you become curious about what you see or term as a failure, then you start to see, oh, there's some kind of nugget here of wisdom,
Mm.
and strength, and empowerment. And that's really the idea of modern alchemy, right? In the way that it unites science and spirituality, because they're really both sides of the same coin. And where the 5 pillars of modern alchemy are able to bring together all of these beautiful pillars of wisdom, of both esoteric philosophy, psycho-spiritual dynamics, the alchemy of the plants and minerals and frequency of vibration. And I feel like for me, the gathering, right, of this in the past 3 decades has been such a, like, the richness, right, of being able to take something for the first time, like, and witness the effect of an herbal medicine or an essential oil, and how that has such a pronounced effect, not just on one aspect of who you are, but on all of who you are. And then how different doorways of awareness awaken within you. So I really view this as, the path of the modern alchemist is a quest, because my life, I can see that, has been a quest. All of our lives are this quest to be able to find that gold that exists within us, that has always been here, but we don't always see it because we're always looking outside of ourselves. So for me, in all of the ways that I was searching outside, whether it was for a solution or something to, like, numb my pain, right? And when I was, obviously I started early in my journey, and because of that was from significant pain. First, from a deeply emotional perspective in my early childhood, what I call now the early childhood treasure map, right? Because it is when we can and look at it from a different lens. And I can see how the places of this pain and adversity brought me to the medicine that I needed, and then brought me deeper into myself, because that's where the medicine was hidden, right? So it's really profound how that happens when we are open, when we are receptive. And I think definitely that awakening that happened in California with the shaman when I was 18. And so then I started studying about the plants, and I was working at this head shop in Northern California. And so things like the oils and all of this esoteric philosophy, I hadn't really, I hadn't delved too far into that. But my curiosity was piqued when I was about 16, because I had, very curiously, I grew up in upstate New York, and we had a camp up in the Adirondacks of New York. And if you have heard of that area, it's so beautiful. Many aspects of it are remote. And so, we had to drive 10 minutes into the town to go to the one grocery store. And there was a soda fountain, like the old fashioned kind, right? That you sit at, and then you can order your, what you need from the pharmacy. But there happened to be this little secondhand bookshop there. And the gentleman, after maybe the first or second time my mom were there, when I would get there with my mom, he would have a book for me. And, it was some, like, cool things on, like, esoteric philosophy, or very old, like, late 1800s medical texts, or books on herbalism. And so he started to give these to me and say, you don't know this about yourself yet, but you're going to need these one day. And I really thought he was a little bit, off his rocker. I thought for sure he had the wrong person. So I took them and I thought, well, these are really interesting. But at 16, I didn't really, I'd flip through and be like, okay, well, I'll keep it. I mean, some of these are very rare. But after that experience in California, like, things started to connect. And so I found that through many of the areas where I started to take the herbs and mix them together for a tea, because I had really bad bronchitis, and was amazed how quickly I healed. Well, then the herbs brought me to the oils. And then when I found the oils, at the same time, I found energy healing. But then it was, like in the 90s, it wasn't all of these modalities, right? It was Reiki, the primary one. But even with that, in the first attunement, when I started to see these colors around individuals, I thought, like, this is incredible. I had no idea these things like existed. And why do the colors change when people feel differently, when they're upset, when they're
Mm.
and I wonder if this can help me, because I experienced so much anxiety, depression, when I was young. As a
Hmm.
teenager, I had numerous thoughts of not being on the planet, not wanting to
Yeah.
be on the planet anymore. And I thought, well,
Mm.
maybe there's a way that this can help me. And it did.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. And you talked about too before, we started recording, you mentioned how you grew up in a more like religious Catholic. So
Yes.
what was that like for you to then, have this view and then kind of be presented with probably what felt maybe like a little bit initially strange, kind of out of this world, like what is this stuff?
Yeah.
How was that for you? And did it just like resonate? Maybe that's what it was too. I don't know.
Well, I have to admit that even like the first time I got sent to the principal's office in kindergarten, was for like standing on the lunchroom table at the Catholic school and I guess singing a song that was controversial. And so I've always had this very rebellious nature, and I probably rebelling against a very, a lot of structure and discipline and control. My
Mm,
dad was a Marine, he was very conservative, then the whole Catholic thing. And so eventually, I think maybe in fourth or fifth grade, I got kicked out of the CCD class. And so he had to be my teacher. And we
mm,
really rubbed heads because he was, very staunch in his way. And I was like, well, this can't be true. Like, where is the reincarnation? Like, like, this isn't real. And of course,
yeah.
he would become, the vein in his forehead would pulsate. But I wouldn't back down. And I think that that is something that has really, even though it caused great frustration to my family, but that's really served me to forge a path that hadn't been
Mhm.
created before. So in that, I really rebelled against anything religious. And I also rebelled against the feminine because my mother and I
Mm,
had challenges. And so, even though my dad and I butt heads, there was something like his strength I really ad- recognized and admired. And so, I was kind of like the tomboy, right?
mm,
Doing all the sports and that kind of thing. And so I relied, I think, much more on my masculine nature. So it wasn't until I was, I guess, living on Cape Cod, and so it was maybe around early 20s, maybe 20. And for like maybe the year before that, I'd been having a lot of abdominal pain,
mhm,
and but I didn't do anything about it because I didn't have insurance, and I was just figured I'm going to suck it up. And then when I did get insurance with a job, I went to the doctor because it was becoming unbearable. And so he would just, here's a script of pain pills. And so after a while of that, I thought, well, this isn't working, right? I can barely function.
yeah.
And so they did surgery and realized that I had endometriosis. And so after three surgeries, the doctor said, well, here's more pain pills, and I think you should get a hysterectomy. But I was like 20, 21 years old, and I knew I was supposed to have two children. So I said no. And that brought me deeper into working with the oils and the
Mhm,
vibration, combining them together, right?
yeah.
Because the oils are malleable and receptive to frequency,
Mm,
creates a stronger synergy. And so, in that deepening of my healing journey, where I said, well, I better be, if nobody else is going to be responsible, Like, I better figure this out. And
Yeah.
and so I, oddly enough, at one point when I was very sick, I had this adhesion to my stomach, and so I couldn't really eat. And then, I was very thin and pasty pale, but with like black dyed hair. My mom used to call me Morticia. It was really quite common. But through this, I would hear this voice that sounded like an ancient, like an elder woman,
Mm.
and she would say, It's going to be okay." And and there was this voice of comfort, and I started to believe that. I started to feel that.
Mm.
And then I would be find myself guided, like, oh, I'm in this parking lot of this church, but I'm outdoors, and here's this statue of Mary. And I don't know why, but I just feel like I need to sit there. And I would smell these fragrances of flowers that weren't there, and I would just weep. I would just cry.
Wow.
So that was my process of coming back to the feminine and to some connection with spirituality, but not religion. And so it went from, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, right? And then my journey continued, and the study in healing, the different modalities of healing, the different practices and education of aromatherapy, and then travel study in India a couple of times, in Egypt, right? Like these callings that were so palpable in my being. And when I would go to these places, this remembrance would happen. I would be like, oh my, I know
Mm.
I've been here before. Or, oh, I can see this temple here in outside of Cairo looks like it's in ruins, but I see it in a state where it was pristine and looked very different than this, but the same too. So when that happened, it was like walking in a dream world for a while.
Mm.
And I was very, I wasn't very grounded. I was very, kind of very different than now, because,
Yeah.
it takes time when you go through an awakening of that degree to understand what's happening
Mm.
within and all around you.
Yeah. And sometimes we just don't make sense of what it is in the moment. And, we're not meant to know right in that moment all the time necessarily of what it all means, why you're being guided to certain places, but you trust yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like you trust yourself and you trust whatever it is that's being presented. It feels like, you know, um I've been very recently on a journey with cacao, and it just the way that you're describing the
Mm,
way it feels the exact same, where it was just for me, it was just like one little thing, and I had no idea, but there was always just these pieces being presented to me. And like you said, it was some sort of remembering. There was an easy resonance with it. There was a remembering that was coming from it. And I think I was hearing that calling of becoming a cacao ceremonialist way before I even drank
yeah,
cacao for the first time, which is, I know you get it. Sometimes saying that out loud sounds so strange, but I just know that that's the ultimate truth.
exactly. And it's that inner knowing
Yeah.
that there's really no way that you could explain it or prove it. And I think what you said is also very important, because sometimes when this awakening or this remembrance is unfolding, we don't always trust, because it's the unknown, and the unknown is uncomfortable,
Yes.
especially from our humanity. We are creatures of comfort, of familiarity, right, of habit.
Hmm.
Um, and yet, during the process of this remembrance or these experiences, there is something inside that just feels right.
Mm.
And those moments that we follow that which feels right builds trust in a new way. It
Hmm.
builds trust in the new path. And then what happens is that you begin to find that those pieces, like you just mentioned, that are coming in, well, they all start to fit together. And you
Mm-hmm.
go, wow, like dots connecting, synapses firing, my whole being is recalibrating.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not exactly sure what that means,
Mm.
or who or what is going to happen after that, or how I am going to be after that. But I know it's right because I feel it in the core of my being. I feel it in my heart,
Mm.
right? And when
Yeah.
we can really understand that we are powerful co-creators that can call forth experiences of confirmation, of clarity, of our hearts and souls' desire, well, then life becomes very different
Mm-hmm.
because we
Yeah.
are learning to create beyond limitation, and that is the gift of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That unknowing piece is so huge because it's uncomfortable, but it can also be so extremely frustrating as well, right? Because there's just, we're so now, I feel like, or I also don't just want to say it's because of, the access that we have to internet and
Mm.
but there's this piece around wanting the answer right away and
Yeah,
having it immediately.
sure.
So when we're in that space of unknowing, and at least I can feel this, and when you're explaining this, I'm like, you are explaining my life for the last 2 years, where you're just like, there's just this knowing here. There's this knowing that something's unfolding, and it's frustrating because you want all the pieces in that moment. You want all the pieces in that moment, but it's not. And so there's trust, and there's kind of this piece around also surrendering
Yes,
to
yes, yeah.
what's going to unfold, and that as well. But it can be so deeply frustrating when you just
It's
want to
so
know.
true. It's so true. And also because we are a culture now that's been conditioned for
Mm,
immediate gratification, right? If we look
yes.
at our dependence on big pharma, right?
Yeah.
Not just a million or billion, even dollar industry, $1 trillion industry.
Hmm.
And we see that we are completely impatient and
Hmm.
even more easily distracted now more than ever. So it is this incredible dance of
Yeah.
expansion,
Mm,
contraction, stasis, the stillness. Now I don't know about you, but stillness was never my comfort. I like the
mm-mm.
big expansion, right? I like to go
Yep.
out there and experience what is new, sometimes, um, and then to be able to go through a contraction in a way that is healthy versus imbalanced, and then to sit in the stillness of patience to allow integration to happen, right? And this is, I
Mm,
think, where we're so impatient because oftentimes what we're running away from is ourselves,
hmm,
right? It's that,
mhm,
like, oh, there's always something else that's shinier, better relationship, better clothes, better
mhm.
car, better makeup, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. Um, there's always something more that is outside of me. And this new body of work, which is the book that will be coming out in a couple of months, on the love frequency, a modern alchemist guide to thriving in sacred purpose, is really about the journey inward, because the love
Mm,
frequency is about, um, what it means to deeply go inward into the heart, to remember how to love and honor and adore ourselves as the beloved, right? And
mm,
the name Adora is really, in Latin, in Italian, means honoring. It means beloved. It means,
mm,
adoration. And so this idea of coming into the heart is really the calling from your soul because once you can understand that everything that you've been searching for outside of yourself is in here, then everything changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from our collective perspective of evolution, right? This unique juncture of time and space that we're at right now, where we see that we have sought the beloved outside of ourselves for eons of time, but much to our great destruction and demise,
Mm-hmm.
and distortion and separation.
Yeah.
And so, this idea of searching within to find the love that exists within us and for ourselves first, no matter what, completely shifts the way that we engage with everything and everyone around us, right?
Yeah.
It's like when your cup is full, when you go inside and fill your cup first and
Mm-hmm.
let that reverberate through your body, your being, your mind, your soul, and then you go into a conversation. Then you
Mm-hmm.
go into a meeting. Then you go to work or deal with your family, your partner, your child, your colleagues. Well, then everything that you are bringing and everything that is um, transforming around you is very different because you
Mm-hmm.
can learn how to modulate the energy of your environment, the frequency of your environment through that process. And it's one of the simplest practices that anyone could do, right?
Mm.
When we have the courage to go in, because it doesn't always
Yeah.
feel good. It's unknown. There's like, oh, well,
Mm-hmm.
I want to go into my heart, but why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling this anxiety? Why am I feeling this sadness? Why am I
Mm.
feeling grief? Whose pain
Yeah.
is this?
Mm. Yeah. That curiosity piece is big. And I'm curious, what are your thoughts around why there's, I don't know if the word is resistance, but that fear comes up when we are, that fear with being able to be in stillness, to
Hmm.
go inward.
Yes. Well, gosh, we could talk for hours on this alone, but when we come into a place of stillness, right? Even in softness, in a slowing down,
Mm.
well, there are things that rise within us. There are feelings, right?
Yeah.
There are thoughts. There are sensations in our body. Could be pain, discomfort, tension. There could be feelings of things that are happening either at home or, in relationship, in family.
Yeah.
They could be things that happened many, many years ago. But you see, pain, trauma, unresolved emotions and experiences don't have a watch. They don't have a calendar. They don't have an expiration date until they are transformed. So
Yeah.
in the stillness is when these sensations rise. And that is why, like, the path of the modern alchemist, the five pillars of modern alchemy offer the principles, a comprehensive set of practices that are simple,
Mm.
accessible, and yet still effective, still profound, to be able to navigate some of those feelings and thoughts and the places where we don't feel good enough, the places where we don't feel we've achieved what we've desired, where we feel our relationships don't have the depth or the meaning or the intimacy, or that we aren't able to communicate what we deeply long to,
Mm.
right?
So
And
can you
so,
share too about the five pillars?
yeah. So, okay. So the five pillars, and really, this is interesting in the sense of they represent my journey, right? And boy,
Mm.
I wish I had something like this much earlier, right, along my path. But the great fulfillment comes from being able to offer it to individuals, to seekers like yourself and your community, and so many individuals that are waking up right now that want to know, how can I understand what's happening?
Mm.
How can I have a practice or a tool that can benefit me, that can help uplift me, that is not going to numb me, right? That isn't a substance, or isn't an addictive practice, or isn't just denial, or
Yeah.
isn't someone else's, right? Like I feel like, oh, I have to do this because someone expects me to. So
Mm.
the 5 pillars of modern alchemy are essential oils, and how we can use pure essential oils to enhance our emotional well-being. And
Mm.
that's in the simplest terms, to increase our physical vibrancy, to help support our spiritual awakening. Because the oils, the pure plant oils, are both alchemical in nature and biochemical in nature, just
Mm.
like we are, right?
Wow.
So they help us to balance our biochemistry, but also to unlock the alchemical insights and wisdom and knowledge that we hold deep within us. They can also support us to transform our subconscious, which is so key. The subconscious mind, we don't realize this, but 95 or more percent of our decisions daily come from our subconscious. Even though we think, oh, I'm making this decision right now, right? I think it's a conscious choice, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So they can support the subconscious, but also help us to reshape the neural pathways and shift emotion and consciousness literally in the moment, because of the powerful connection between the sense of smell and the limbic system and the amygdala of the brain that regulates so much of our physiology, but specifically mood, memory, and emotion. So these are powerful allies and mechanisms for transformation. And that's just one pillar,
Oh my gosh, I feel like I have a whole new level of curiosity of essential oils that
right?
like I've never heard anyone, and I really truly am meaning that. No one has explained essential oils ever. And they're just like, yeah, bring it, especially even like with, cacao ceremonies. It's, bring in this. I'm like, okay, I don't, why?
Why?
What's here?
Ex-
And there's this whole new window, I feel like, that's
Yeah,
just
we
open
have a
for
whole
your
segment
explanation.
just on the oils.
Yes.
Hmm.
Wow.
So yes, and they, and really, because that has, I really built the centerpiece of my work around them, right? And I
Mm.
created the first national brand of essential oil formulas energetically infused for chakra balancing and for aura clearing, right? At a time
Mm.
when that was still very new. So I have seen the great transformation with countless individuals, and it's remarkable.
Hmm.
So that's one pillar. Then we have crystals, crystal healing for another pillar. Now many people could say, well, crystals, that's so new age or woo woo. And what I would say to that would be, did you know? And we'll take quartz crystal because it's, so common, so accessible. Did you know that the quartz crystal has been used in military telecommunications equipment since World War II, right?
What?
Because of its precision of frequency, being able to
Wow.
tune into a very focused frequency, which of course is key, right, for that on so many different levels. And you'll find quartz through your computer, your microchips, your watches, right, your clocks. So again, there is such a scientific foundation to these aspects, these pillars of modern alchemy, which is really important because we all, we are curious, and our intellect, and enriching our intellect is very important. And yet, but
Mhm.
without the heart and soul, it's only one very small facet of who we are. So crystals,
Yeah.
powerful allies for opening new levels of awareness, for focusing our energy, right? Our
Mm.
consciousness.
Wow.
So that's the second pillar. The third pillar, meditation. Now, of course, we know now more than ever many of the benefits of meditation from so many perspectives, everything from increasing immunity, lowering cortisol level from
Mm.
stress, right? And we know stress is one of the major contributors to dis-ease, physical imbalance,
Mm.
emotional imbalance. Meditation helps to enhance positive outlook, right? And for us to be able to access a certain brainwave states like theta, right, which we know is deeply healing.
Mhm.
So meditation, you'll find, is a core pillar, and so many of the offerings of the Soul Institute, we have free monthly meditations. We have many meditations on our YouTube channel, and this is such a powerful way that you can bring in a practice that doesn't have to be an hour a day. Even if you are doing 5 minutes and then building up, it's the consistency where we
Mhm.
see the greatest benefit, right?
Yeah.
So then we go into practical alchemy. Now, practical alchemy as a pillar is really an amalgamation of things like sound healing, right?
Mm.
Like the solfeggio frequencies, or different frequencies like 40 hertz. There is a wonderful TED Talk circulating where a doctor used 40 hertz in protocols for not just depression, but also dementia
Wow.
patients. So more and more research. For example, 528 hertz, which is a solfeggio frequency, has been shown to repair human DNA.
Wow.
So again, the conversation of, oh, it's so new age or it's so woo woo. No, it's so real. It's so tangible. It is a convergence of science and spirituality. And this is where we are moving toward, from our humanity as a way to
Mm.
heal, grow, unite, and to be able to come back into connection with ourselves, with each other, and with the earth, right? And that's
Mm.
why, another aspect of practical alchemy is using the allies from the plants to make your own medicine, right? To create formulas, to know how to do that, because there
Mm.
is so much information and so much misinformation out there about essential oils in particular. It's staggering. So, how does someone
Yeah.
know? Well, how do I know what's real, what's valid, what's true? How do
Yeah.
I choose an essential oil that's pure? Because everyone says that it is, and they sure are not, right?
Yeah.
So modern alchemy brings together not only these threads of wisdom, um, but also helps to dispel myths and misconception, because that's really critical for your
Mhm.
journey. So you can save, so it doesn't take you the 30, years that it's taken me to get to this point, and countless resources, because there is a lot of misinformation. In addition to that, many, even of the mystery schools of the
Mhm.
past many, many years and healing traditions, offer fragments of the wisdom and knowledge. And those fragments do allow you to reach a certain point in your healing, right? To change somewhat, but nowhere near what is
Mhm.
possible for you in the course of this life.
Yeah.
And so bringing these pillars together is so profound. Now, the last pillar is absolutely the most important one, because it is the alchemy of love, the love frequency.
Mm.
And this is the thread that is woven through every other pillar, because it is the universal language of humanity. It is what unites us as one, and it is the strongest force in the universe. And when you can find the way to tap into your love, you see that it can transform everything in your life.
Yeah, it absolutely can. Oh my gosh, these are so powerful and beautiful. And what I see in the center of all of it is simply supporting you, and that, what we were talking about filling your cup up first.
Yeah.
It's all these modalities, all aspects do that, to bring you inward, to support you, to dive inward. And what's the, like, I guess the question is, what's the starting point with all these different pillars? What is that starting point for, maybe for the one who's kind of just beginning? What is that starting point?
Well, I want to give you two ideas for this.
Hmm.
And the first one we can do together, because this is the simplest starting point, is when we pause for a moment. And especially in moments when we're like activated and keyed up, and it's, like a moment away from the meltdown, is to stop and just take a breath. So
Mm.
let's do this together. Let's just take your right hand
Okay.
and put it over your heart.
Mm.
And because we are so, we long for touch, human touch, and we forget sometimes we can console ourselves,
Yeah.
right? So to come into this place and then to take a deep breath into your heart and simply say to yourself, and it doesn't have to be out loud, but I'll demonstrate. In my sacred human heart, I feel and receive my love. And to just bring your breath into your heart center. And just notice how, through this simple act, your body relaxes, your mind calms, your breath deepens. Now, of course, you could take this a step further and just imagine, just see, feel, allow, imagine that in the center of your heart is this beautiful room. It is like the room of your dreams. Or maybe you have a room like this in your space, your home. It's like your sanctuary. It can be decorated any way you want, or it can just be simple. But in the center of this room, you see this beautiful golden spigot, a water spigot. And you just feel called to, like, hey, it's shiny, it's gold, it's beautiful. You want to walk over to it. And once you get there, you feel this desire just to turn it on all the way. Because this is the path of connection to the infinite source of love that exists within you. It is a well, a reservoir that never ends. And just envisioning now, and you can envision it as a color, maybe pink light, or any color that strikes your fancy, that your love is just flowing freely. And it feels so good.
Mm.
And perhaps you even notice now in your hands is this beautiful chalice. And the chalice is made of your favorite gems or metal or ceramic or design. Maybe it's a beautiful bowl. And you feel drawn to just fill this chalice, this bowl, to fill it until it runs over, to drink from it in a way that quenches the very thirst of your soul. Might even tinkle a little bit in your
Mhm.
heart, right? Like you really might feel like, oh God, this tickles. Like I just want to smile. Feels like my heart is beginning to glow like a sun, like radiating light. And this is the simplest thing that you can do in any moment.
Mm.
So that is the first practice. And then I would say to, if you have one, wonderful, but if not, to choose to select a pure essential oil. It could be a formula or just one plant that really calls to you, like in lemon. Lemon is so good right now, this time of year, as we're
Mm.
a cleansing, like it's liver season. Um,
Mm.
and even if you don't have lemon essential oil, you could go to the store and buy an organic lemon and cut a bit off in the morning and place it in some warm water and drink
Mm.
it, and to really receive the aroma and the health benefits of that. And if you have lemon essential oil or an essential oil that you love, then use it in a different way. Put a drop of it on the left palm of your hand, because your left side is your receptive, your palms and the soles of your feet are these incredible vacuums that pull up both the alchemical and biochemical aspects of the oil.
Mm.
Just like if you've ever peeled a clove of garlic and rubbed it on the sole of your foot,
Mhm.
and about a minute later you can taste it on your breath. It's a really fun
Mm.
party trick, right? But that's because it's entered your bloodstream. So the
Mm.
oils are this way. So you do that and then just take a deep breath in with your intention to nourish your heart, to calm your mind, to clear your mind, to settle your mind, to inspire your soul,
Mm.
to revitalize your body, and see how quickly that shifts for you. See how quickly your
Mm.
emotion shifts, the feeling in your body, that sense of
Yeah.
clarity or calm, right? Because
Yeah.
that is a stepping stone. And each stepping stone builds on the next. Now, of course, we have so many wonderful blogs and insights, and very soon we'll have our Foundations of Modern Alchemy mini course. The virtual mini course is available. And that's going to be a wonderful way to get you started on your journey. And even if you know a little bit about modern alchemy, to bridge the gap of
Mm.
understanding and find ways that can benefit you personally, right? So you can unlock that gold that is within you.
I love that. There is the simplest thing of this, when you simply place your hand on your heart is so underestimated on what that does. Like that was so profound, even for me to just sit in this moment and hear you and just be guided through that. That was, thank you for that. That was so beautiful. But it's like it's replacing what we do to soothe ourselves too.
Yeah.
Like and I there's a piece around simply noticing what it is that you do. What are those maybe unhealthy or dysfunctional ways that you soothe yourself in moments, and just notice without judgment and be able to try and replace with something as simple as placing your hand on your heart and just taking this deep breath. um of course it takes practice, but that was just so powerful in this moment, so thank you so much for that. And you've shared so much as well. And so what is the best way for people to either receive these courses more? I know there's probably plenty that you have, but where is the best place?
Sure. Thank you for that, by the way. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Um,
Mm.
So, all of your listeners can visit our website at thesoulinstitute.co. And then on all of our social media platforms, including YouTube, at Adora Winquist. And you'll see with the new book coming out, the courses that'll be out next month, which is very exciting.
So
And I
exciting.
also have a number of in-person programs this year, which is a wonderful way to come and disconnect from everything, right?
Mm,
That is sometimes overwhelming, and to come into a deeper connection with yourself, where
mm,
you can find that voice of wisdom and truth that exists within you, that place of deeper empowerment, unlocking your inner modern alchemist. So we
mm.
have programs this May at the Art of Living Retreat Center in Boone, at Omega Institute, at Rapallo Institute in August, and then in France, a 9-day program in September.
Oh, that is so exciting. And I'm so grateful for you coming and sharing all of this wisdom, modern alchemy, but your journey as well, and your wisdom, and to share that with us. And I know that whoever lands on this is meant to land in this space to hear all of this. And I'm so deeply grateful for you, Adora. I so appreciate you for the time and the space and the journey just through this conversation.
Well, you're so kind, Ashley Ann, and truly it's been my joy, my pleasure, and wish you all of the best with your work and what you're doing and what you're bringing, all the joy and light that you're bringing to everyone and everything around you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to leave a review and continue the conversation with me over on social media. And we'll see you in the next episode.